guys, I'm going to read you a story about a humpback whale. This humpback whale is called Humphrey, the lost whale. And it's a true story about how a little whale gets lost. Let's see what happens, shall we? Our story begins on a sunny day far out at sea. A pod of humpback whales are travelling south together for the winter. Humpback whales are magnificent creatures that sing beautiful songs to each other underwater. In the whole world, there are very few of them, so each one is quite special, and they are intelligent. Every winter they travel south, and every summer they head north, and they always know the way. There we go, see them? But even whales can make mistakes. And one whale named Humphrey made a big one. He turned away from his friends and wandered under the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco Bay. You spot him there? There he is. He's going underneath the bridge. I wonder what he's going to do. Everyone was surprised to see Humphrey in the bay. People don't get to see humpback whales very often because they usually stay in very deep waters, so it was a special treat to see one so close to the city of San Francisco. Humphrey was a spectacular sight, as long as a city bus and as big as 7 elephants put together. Wow! He would come up to breathe, appearing as if by magic, and people would stop everything they're doing just to see him. There he is, coming up for air. People would stop. It'd be fantastic to see that, wouldn't it? Then Humphrey did something that no whale had ever done before. Instead of swimming back out to sea, he went the wrong way, up the Sacramento River. The big river became smaller and smaller as Humphrey travelled upstream. He was looking for the ocean, but it was clear Humphrey was lost. Can you see him swimming up there? He needs to go the other way, doesn't he? Hundreds of people came to see Humphrey in the river. They would stare out at the water, waiting for him to come up for air. Then with a big whoosh, his giant back would appear and someone would shout, "There he is!" He was an amazing sight. But something was wrong. Whales are supposed to live in the salt waters of the ocean, not the fresh waters of the rivers. A whale would die if it stayed in fresh water too long. Humphrey was in trouble. So there he is. People all watching him. Everyone knew that Humphrey had to be turned back towards the ocean, but no one knew how to do it. After all, something like this had never ever happened before. The further Humphrey went, the more worried everyone became. They wondered whether he was getting anything to eat, whether he was getting sick, or whether he would beach himself on the side of the river. One day, Humphrey squeezed under a tiny bridge. It was so small, no one could understand how he'd done it. Now Humphrey was in real trouble. He was trapped. Can you see the bridge there? Humphrey's managed to sort of like squeeze underneath it, hasn't he? Dearie me. The river beyond the bridge was very shallow and narrow. It was so small, Humphrey could hardly turn round. There he was, a whale, stuck in a tiny stream, right in the middle of a farm field. It was very hard to believe. Something had to be done to get him out of there fast. Humphrey was beginning to look a little sick. The scientists knew he would die if he didn't get back to the ocean. Time was running out. Doesn't look very well there, does he? Looks a little sad as well. Shall we see what happens? The people trying to save Humphrey would have to move very fast. The scientists, the coast guards and many others got together to work out a plan of how to save him. They decided to bang long pipes together underwater to scare him back down the river. And at the same time, they would play a recording that would broadcast underwater the sounds of whales eating. Maybe Humphrey would be so hungry and lonely he would swim towards the sound. There we go. So you've got the people here in their boats, like banging, and you've got the people here playing the whales music. It worked. Humphrey turned round and started swimming back down the river. Oh, Everyone was relieved. But the danger wasn't over yet. When Humphrey arrived at the little bridge, he stopped. He was too afraid to go under it. He couldn't find a space big enough to get through it. The people kept banging the pipes, and Humphrey seemed flustered. What would he do? As the pipes kept clanging, Humphrey became angry and scared. He rolled from side to side and thrashed his great tail. The people stopped banging the pipes. See, there he is. He's too scared. Wonder what's going to happen. But Humphrey's friends wouldn't give up. They knew they had to get him past that little bridge, and if they didn't, he would die in the river. The people trying to save him decided to make the space under the bridge bigger. They brought in a huge crane and worked through the night to clear away some of the old pilings. So there they are. There's a big crane, and they're digging away to make it bigger for him. Would Humphrey notice the difference? The next day the people began banging the pipes again. Clang, clang! The boats moved closer to Humphrey and urged him on towards the bridge. This was his last chance. Everyone watched nervously. There he is. See his tail? Humphrey bravely approached the bridge. But as he tried to swim under it, his head became lodged between the pilings. He frantically bobbed his head up and down and thrashed his tail to free himself. It was a terrible moment. The people trying to save Humphrey thought it might be the end. Humphrey was stuck. Suddenly, Humphrey lifted one fin way out of the water, almost touching the bridge. As he twisted his body, he broke free of the pilings and swam through to the other side. There was a shout from the banks of the river, then another and another, until everyone was cheering. Hooray for Humphrey, they shouted. He'd made it. Humphrey the lost whale was finally on his way home. There he is. He's made it. A whole flotilla of boats and the clanging pipes behind him helped Humphrey find his way down the river. Finally, Humphrey arrived in San Francisco Bay. Let's see, shall we? Humphrey spent one whole day happily swimming around the bay. He did tricks for the people gathered along the shore to see him one last time. They oohed when he slapped his tail, and they ahed when he leaped into the air and belly flopped back into the water. Humphrey seemed to be saying goodbye and thank you to all the friends who had helped him. There he is, see? Wow! The people who helped rescue Humphrey were also felt grateful. Humphrey had taught them a lot about humpback whales. He had also become a good friend. Many times during his ordeal, Humphrey could have simply flicked his tail and overturned the boats carrying the people who were trying to help him. But he never did. He seemed to understand they were his friends. Finally, in the late afternoon fog, Humphrey swam under the Golden Gate Bridge and back out to sea. Humphrey the whale had made it. He was finally home. There you go. What a lovely story. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you soon. Bye.